Now we're not. Now we're alive. We did it.
Too late, Michael. Too late now. Hangout on the Air is live. Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't see you. What's up?
Oh, Michael, you're here.
Yeah, I was just walking around. I was looking for a birthday present for my uncle.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm checking out the latest greeting cards.
The latest green cards?
Yeah.
For immigrants?
Yeah, exactly.
The new designs?
Whichever country you're from, yeah, they have a greeting just for you.
Oh.
That's not too bad.
Hola.
Yeah. Bienvenidos. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I got ankle socks. I don't normally wear ankle socks because I like my socks to be longer than that.
That's fair.
But I went to the store to buy socks, and they had like one really sketchy old pack of crew socks. So I just bit the bullet and went with ankle.
See, I like ankle socks when I wear shorts.
Well, I always wear shorts, so.
Okay. I saw Street Fighter socks that somebody had posted online.
Ooh.
Fighter 5 socks, and I think I need to buy them.
Street Fighter 5 is out in 6 days.
I know. I'm very, very excited to
and
get
Alex is confirmed as the first DLC character.
That excites me. I was thinking about something about Alex.
Okay.
It's the fact that, like, I feel that he has no bones.
No, he has total worm fingers. The grossest thing in the world.
So, like Medusa, like snake hair.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is, I wanted to actually animate like a little video of him like trying to grab things and like his fingers just going everywhere. He can't grab stuff because his worms are always in motion.
I bet they help him like grip people when he's wrestling though.
Oh, that's probably true because they're like more flexible. They have like a more range of motion.
Yeah, like when you grab something, for example, when I grab this mug, right?
Yeah.
It's empty. So it's pretty sealed, but I think there's a couple like sort of small microscopic sort of points of break.
Yeah.
That's what
the worms sound like when they're communicating with him.
Yeah.
That's how he talks to his fingers.
So if you have worm fingers, you can just like seal it tight.
Yeah, you could get all the way around. The problem is when he's using the worm fingers and he's speaking to them is like he actually has no control over the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
He has to communicate with them actively to tell them what to do.
Yeah. He has to speak to his fingers.
The complication arises. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good of him. So Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
DLC is all essentially free unless you want to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Capcom said that if you play through like story mode and like survival mode with a few characters, you'll have enough points to get Alex when he comes out.
Perfect.
And then they said once he does come out, they're going to have like daily quests. So if you log into Street Fighter 5 every day and like, throw 10 Hadoukens in ranked matches or something, then you get a fight money bonus to save up towards when the next characters or costumes or whatever come out.
Mecha Dulcim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And you can use fight money for literally everything unlockable in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if there's extra stages, but I'm assuming the costumes and things of the sort.
I think there are some premium DLC costumes. I feel like I've heard that a couple of the costume sets are paid money only.
Okay. Do you think that's going to be a timed thing, or do you think that will be something that over time they'll be like, you know what, you've earned enough fight money, it's been 6 months or a year, whatever, feel free?
It's hard to say. I would imagine if it works the way that Capcom is making it sounds like they want it to work, which is that Street Fighter 5 is just going to exist as a service for as long as this console generation is running, then yeah, they might do that at some point. Mm-hmm. They might say like the latest costume pack is paid only, or the latest 2, but the older ones, when they start to rotate down, like, okay, now you can use your fight money to buy those.
So eventually you think they'll sort of like phase it out from exclusively paid to fight money as like a new one comes out?
I would hope so, because otherwise you create a situation where at the point at which Capcom, because I assume they will, stops making characters, you're going to keep building up fight money for no reason.
Sure. So if they can continue to support it as long as possible, and ultimately, if they can release as much fight money, so that if there's a fight money cap, say you do everything in the game, you're constantly playing, the fight money cap is say like 1 million zenny or whatever they're using. Fight money, I guess, is the currency, right?
Yeah.
Fight zenny.
I think zenny is what you buy stuff with, like premium stuff. Like you convert convert your money into zenny.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah.
So if you can use essentially all the money that you earn in the game can ultimately be capped off to like an even, like, if you really wanted every last thing, like it would even out. Because there's a handful of games and they do this kind of thing where it sort of tampers with the excitement of collectability. Wind Waker and Minish Cap actually were two Zelda games that I noticed this in, because I like when you're collecting things for a reason. And if you find, say, 50 special gems or whatever, like the necklaces from Wind Waker, but like you can just kill enemies and sometimes they'll drop them. So it's not like something that you have to hunt down exclusively in set locations. Eventually you can find, say, 50 necklaces, but only 38 of them are spendable, and you can keep collecting. So
Yeah.
that like the challenge of trying to complete is not really completion. It's more of just like it's a different type of currency.
Yep.
And I like it when something is like, hey, you've earned all of this, you've maxed out, and all of it will be spent, and you're gonna, you've fought for 100% completion, and you'll be rewarded for the completion's sake.
Right. And you won't just keep getting. You won't just, because that always kind of bugs me too. Like with something like in-game money, it makes sense, right? There's no reason why you go to you kill a monster. It's like, sorry, you spent all of the money in the world.
Yeah.
On your complete gear loadout. There's no money left. All that shopkeeper has all of it.
Every cent left on in our entire universe.
But something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So we didn't podcast last week, if I'm not mistaken.
We did not.
Did not. Okay. But we did podcast this week. Oh my god. Is everything okay?
What? Okay.
Is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Uncle.
What?
Did you run out of drink?
No.
Okay, so we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, I don't want you like being thirsty in the middle of this, and then I can't like do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't help me through the internet.
I can order you a Coke online.
That's true, and that's like yeah, they could deliver it.
Thank goodness, yeah. So there's a contingency plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not totally hosed.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you're totally fine. Okay, been a couple minutes since we cyberzoned. Since we've had cyber relations with each other.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize that's what we do before, during, and after every episode.
Yeah, it's a constant. Like, it's actually never not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just happen to let people in weekly.
Right. For a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the window. Check it out, and then we pull the shades again.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got some virtual console releases tomorrow.
Oh, Kururin.
Dude, that's a phenomenal game.
I love that game, and I am so excited that we're finally getting it in a legitimate format.
Yeah, it makes me extremely happy that there's a handful of Japanese exclusive games that are making their ways to our shores with this. It's not going to be translated. The game has little to no, text anyway, but I assume that anything that is going to be there, like level names and like menu options, if they're not already in English, because a couple of them might be, you just, you'll figure it out. It's the easiest game in the world to figure out just through trial and error. But it gives me hope for things like Rhythm Heaven for the Game Boy Advance, which requires virtually nothing, knowledge-wise as well. You could fudge your way through that very easily. But then it also lends a lot of credence towards right now. The hot topic is Mother 3. It's on a lot of people's palates at the moment. And so, I mean, discussion for this comes up to, did Nintendo use the unofficial fan patch, which is probably not.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's why it took so long for them to say, okay, well, these guys already did it, so we're just going to redo the exact same thing. Not with the Nintendo Flair, it'll be official Nintendo. But that's also why it took so long, because legal red tape. There's always, Nintendo's not going to be the kind of company that says, oh, cool, these guys did it for us, let's just release that, because it just doesn't work quite like that. But if this is true, I mean, we might get an announcement at the next Nintendo Direct or possibly E3 or something, but Emily Rogers and Gamenesia and a lot of these companies are saying, Eurogamer are like, yep, this is basically happening for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I'm super curious versus, the fan translation, how the official potential translation will actually hold up. So, because Yeah.
People are gonna be like, oh, it's not as good, but it all just comes down to like different flares and tastes that people have.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some really bad translations from back in the day, just like playing ROMs, and some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then some that were actually, I think there was one group that did like, they did 2 translations for every game they did, where they did like one that was as literal as that they could make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was like them sort of, if we were writing, if it was our job to localize this game initially, here's how we would have done it.
That's kind of cool. It's like almost like a purist kind of thing, and then like a regional kind of like, this will make more contextual sense.
Yeah.
I like that. Because I was thinking about Mother 3, and, you know, if people are going to see this translation potentially, you know, this is all hypothetical still. Anybody who's already been inducted into the Mother 3, you know, experience is going to say, well, this is my first experience, therefore that's what I'm going to remember, and I want to see what this is, and it won't compare to my first experience. It's like if anybody starts with a video game, chances are that's your favorite one of the series, because that's what you remember. That's your induction.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that the Treehouse at Nintendo of America is such an exceptional unit when it comes to like translation and dialogue that either way, it's just going to be a second extremely exceptional translation capturing a very similar spirit in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I do look forward to that because, you know, Bill Trinan and like Bill Dorf and like all of those guys, I think do a great job of translating and localizing a lot of stuff that comes from Japan.
They do.
And with something that's more playful like Mother 3, I feel, you know, they're probably going to, you know, go back through Earthbound, channel elements of what made that so specifically special and so regionally special, and really, like, I think if it happens, we're in for like a treat. So
I think it would be great if they'd actually got in touch with Lindblom and brought him on board.
It would be phenomenal if they came back and said, man, like, you know, what you did is something that captured people's hearts. You know, come back, revisit. Yeah, that would be exceptional. I wonder if for any reason, I don't know if this kind of thing is ever correlated, but legal mumbo jumbo always mars everything. But I think there was a project he was working on like a year ago where he was doing like a translation, like documentation of the experience, and then it got canned. And I wonder if for any reason Nintendo was like, hey, you're kind of working on something right now, and this is unofficial, and we can't have any potential mixing.
Right. That's possible.
So I'm very excited to see if that ends up being the case, and if and when this might potentially happen.
As am I. Speaking of Bildorf, did you read about the Mario Maker patch that came out a week or 2 ago?
No. Oh, wait, hold on. It was a glitch fix, yes?
There was a glitch fix, yeah, and they pulled the servers down for, I think, a couple of days.
That's right, because people could get, like, super-duper quick times on online levels, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you read about, like, how that came to pass, like, how Nintendo found out about it?
Someone actually submitted the information to them, and I think he re-PR'd the whole thing, but sort of didn't acknowledge it, if I'm not mistaken. It was a really interesting situation. You probably know more about it at this point immediately.
Yeah, so just a random guy found the glitch, and he was like, that can't be right. So we duplicated it, found out that it was true, and then was like, I need to tell someone, but I don't know. Like, it's Nintendo. Their doors are so closed. Like, how do you get in touch with them? So he spread the message to a popular Mario Maker streamer that he watched, and the streamer had the same dilemma, and he contacted Bildorf on LinkedIn.
Right. It was through LinkedIn. That's correct. Yeah.
And so Bildorf said, yeah, we'll look into this. Thanks for letting us know. And the streamer then got kind of upset because Nintendo's response was to take down the YouTube video he'd uploaded of the glitch as proof that it had happened. Like, they sent him a copyright flag and pulled his video. And he's like, well, they fixed it, but they could have done that a lot better.
Yeah, that's fair. I figure like it's also sort of like protocol for them to have done it that way, but it does suck because, I mean, it's no longer in danger of being something that's an issue. And it's kind of cool to showcase, you know, problems like he might still have the video on his drive and he could re-upload it. I guess they'd probably hit him with the copyright anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, super interesting how that panned out. But yeah, LinkedIn, that was the whole deal. It's easier to contact Nintendo through LinkedIn than it is to send them like an official customer support email request or something.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like every time I get something from LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, cool, that's going in the trash can.
Right.
Not that I don't like LinkedIn. I think it's fine, but I just
it's not that important unless you're like you spend 10% of your day handing out business cards.
Right. Yes, exactly. So does not happen.
But I do wonder if it couldn't have been done through customer service, because I actually had a customer service thing, and Nintendo was very sort of cryptic about it, but it sounded like they would pass something on to some kind of dev team.
Mm-hmm.
Because I downloaded Grill Off with Ultra Hand.
Ultra Hand, yeah.
I got that off Club Nintendo.
Good.
And for some reason, every time I finished a game of it, my Wii would just hard freeze. Like, it would just lock and make this awful, like, sound until I turned it off. And so I contacted Nintendo and was like, hey, like, what do I do about this? Is there any kind of fix? And like, oh, we don't know. We'll pass you up to, like, the senior team. And the senior team was like, I don't know. We'll pass you off to... And he said it was like a developer team or something like that. And I love the idea that that is a possibility, that a Nintendo of America, like, customer support guy can just be like, hey, someone in Japan who made this game, like, why would this happen?
Yeah.
It's definitely not the case, but I would love for it to be that way.
Yeah. No, and I always wonder if the customer service issue is more that it's inconsistent, because you might meet somebody who works customer service and goes, well, I've never heard of this. I have no idea. Check the forums for details. Bye. And then somebody else who's like a seasoned vet in that department goes, oh my gosh, like, we actually have to look into this. Let's go through the proper channels. And you might get two very different experiences,
Yeah.
Customer support, rather than Bildorf, who's just like, if he hears it, he's going to do something. Yeah, that's super interesting. I would contact him on Facebook and just send him like a bunch of like pictures of me rubbing things all over my nipples. Like
yeah. When I rub Excite Bike on my nipples, it feels good. When I rub Clue-Land on it, it burns.
It feels bad, yeah. What are you guys doing? Turns out Clue-Land was manufactured with plastic that was dipped in icy hot.
That's why no one keeps that game for too long.
Oh, yeah, exactly. People put it on the shelf immediately. Ah, crazy. Okay. So, yeah, Kururin is happening tomorrow, as well as, I think, Polarium and Brain Age for the DS Virtual Console.
Nice.
It's interesting. There's selection of DS games, and I'm almost tempted to pick up Mario Kart DS for the Wii U Virtual Console, because there's something kind of neat about that.
Yeah.
There's one more Mario Kart, and there was no analog control, so it's a little more archaic, but I do like the idea of playing certain games on the big screen in an official capacity. So, we'll see. Maybe they'll do Rhythm Heaven. I want that to show up. I'd pick up that one if it came out. If there were a DS game of your choice, regular DS, for the Wii U Virtual Console, what would it be?
I would like to see the Castlevanias. That's kind of a given.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I went to go look at my DS games, but they're obscured by a leather couch.
That's fair.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. The Layton series would be good. I imagine those will be on there if they aren't already.
Layton at some point, sure.
Elite Beat Agents, of course.
That would be a great one. An extremely good choice. Mega Man ZX actually doesn't even be on there. I can't remember. Like, some good stuff has come out that I haven't really paid attention to.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's at the point where when I got my Wii Shop account reestablished on my Wii U, I learned that I had $5 just sitting on that account that I haven't used in like 3 years.
Oh, what did you buy?
Nothing yet. I still can't think of what I want to get.
You have Zoda's Revenge?
I do, yeah.
Okay, good. You have... There's a couple exclusive, like, Wii U, like the new Contra that came out, or like, Super Gradius or whatever, or like a Castlevania Adventure remake, a handful of like those kind of neat Konami Super Nintendo style sequels.
Yeah.
You have any of those?
I don't, actually.
Okay, they're pretty sweet. They're, I think, worthwhile. Especially Contra, because you can play as a lizard man.
Ooh.
Yeah. Brand new 16-bit games on a system like that, made by the original company, is really cool, I think.
Yeah.
But now, of course, Konami is sort of like, I've heard something. I don't know if you've heard about. So, obviously Konami is under, pressure from the whole world who now hates them.
Mm-hmm.
there was this fan project, the fan remake of Metal Gear Solid 1.
Okay.
And I think it's called like Shadow Moses is what they're calling it. And it's this Metal Gear remake in Unreal 4, and it looks pretty fantastic. We'll see if it captures the original feel and the magic of what makes that game. But apparently they had posted, or somebody had posted, that Konami might be allowing it and endorsing this fan project to continue. Which is one of two things, and it's either Konami has to put zero legwork into doing a remake that they can endorse and get money from, which is very likely, or they're looking at the situation with their fans and saying, okay, we have to make amends somehow, and this might be a good place to start. Because if they're looking at it with any capacity, it's a public project, and there's not like a cease and desist being offered. That is a good sign. I don't know if it's making this company redeemable for a lot of people, but the fact they haven't squashed it yet, I guess, seems like a good sign.
Let me posit to you a third option, and it's not the case, but it's fun to think about.
Okay.
What if this is a special case where Konami is so fed up with Kojima for whatever reason that they're just going to let anyone do anything with his work?
Steve in Norway can make the next Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Because
you're nothing, Kojima.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's not that one asshole, Yeah.
Oh, you want to make a text-based book tie for the links? Done.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's some funding. We'd love to pay you for that. Maybe that's it's not outside the realm of possibility that they would do something to sort of shaft Kojima in a public capacity.
Like, it's a silly idea, but you look back at everything that just happened over the past year and a half, and you got to think there might be some truth to that.
Yeah, Ryan Jones presents Metal Gear Solid. Yeah,
age 12.
Yeah, exactly. Joshua Productions presents. I don't know. It's weird. They're a weird company, and I don't know what they're doing, and it's not outside the realm of possibility. But we'll see. Looks kind of cool. Probably just be a PC thing, unless Konami says anybody's okay with having the port on their system. I don't know if I see that likely, but who knows at this point? I have no clue what's going to happen. I'm curious. We'll be following this closely.
So how do you feel about stuff like this? Like Valve is totally okay with this kind of thing too, where they've got Black Mesa coming out. They're doing nothing with that. To my knowledge, they're not helping out at all.
They're just letting
someone wanted to make Half-Life 1 with the Half-Life 2 engine, or whatever the current one is. I think it's like Source 2 or Source 3, whatever Left 4 Dead 2 runs on. And they're just like, yeah, that sounds good. Go for it. Like, do you think it's okay? Like, it's cool that companies are just occasionally willing to let stuff like that happen? Or does it run the risk of sort of oversaturating and creating the sort of, oh, well, that's not real, but this is real elitism?
Yeah, I do think it can go both ways. I think that, in a company like Nintendo would not allow this because they don't want to risk the damaging of their IP.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have people that are fully capable of making things like Project M and, taking an existing, IP or mass franchise and representing it in a way that does not damage things, but because it's legal and, the red tape is always like the whole mess. I know why Nintendo doesn't do that. And it's also the same reason that they take down all these, clone Nintendo-style games that show up on Apple's Apple Store, or probably the Android market, or Pokemon clones, or Zelda clones, or all of these things, is because they see two things: lost profit, obviously, and the risk that somebody will misrepresent what they are holding on to. They have franchises they want to keep near and dear to their heart. However, it's still interesting that they wouldn't squash Mother 3 translation at all, and that, as far as I'm concerned, the Mother 4 project that's going on, which is for all intents and purposes sort of what we're discussing right now, seems like it's going to be a very real possibility. I don't know if the name's going to have to be changed or anything, but it seems like everything is a go, and Nintendo is fine with it being represented. Some companies, I think, embrace it because we are at a point in time where the fans can produce something that can so accurately represent the quality of a game, but now that they have the means to express that publicly and worldwide, they have a global audience You know, whereas like back in like the 80s, if some guy made like his own fan Mario 1 game, you might find like the ROM hack online, and it's, you know, it exists, or some dude could do it in his basement, you know, in like the 1995, and it's really hard to get a hold of. Whereas now, if some dude, you know, people can make new Super Mario Brothers for the Wii and make a whole new game with the existing game engine, brand new levels, brand new everything, and it doesn't seem like it damages the IP. I actually don't know what Nintendo's stance on any of that is, but I think it's
why do you think Mother is different? Is it because of the people involved? Is it because Nintendo just sort of acknowledges like, yeah, it's not Mario, like this is a niche product? Is it because like they've so blatantly gone the other way with their branding, where Mother 1 is Earthbound Beginnings over here, and the rumors state that we'll be calling Mother 3 Earthbound 2?
Right. I do wonder if with the Earthbound franchise, specifically the Mother franchise, if Nintendo decided to hold off on pursuing anything simply because they were maybe seeing that the fans were doing something that was so overwhelmingly good while they were just sort of turning the other way, that at this point they sort of have like their tail between their legs, and they're like, well, it would be a really tricky PR move to just shut all of that off completely when they have no intention of following up for 10 years.
I like this idea. I like the idea that, and this Metal Gear project is obviously kind of a outlier, but let's say that Nintendo's got its we'll call it 8. We'll say they have 8 like core franchises. You got Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Fire Emblem these days. Geez, like Pokemon. I don't know, like Pikmin maybe. I don't know. You could throw a couple more in there, and they could say like, this is our A tier. Do not touch this. You are not allowed. We are handling all of this. But that if you wanted to go in and make like a new Pilot Wings game on your own, and Nintendo would be like, yeah, we're not doing that, and we're probably not going to do that for like another 15 years. Like, sure.
So sort of like they almost release certain franchises as public domain, or allow.
Yeah.
You know, they don't publicize it, but they sort of say, well, if somebody's going to do that, we're not doing anything with it, you know. In the meantime, feel free.
Right, like if you can't make, if in the case of Konami, like you can't make a Castlevania or a Contra, but if you want to make a Zone of the Enders or a Parodius or something, like sure.
Hack 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. It'd be kind of an interesting idea, because I like the idea of letting a fan run creatively with something that has not seen the light of day in years.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And if say some guy wanted to make Star Tropics 3, you know, Nintendo would be like, hey, that franchise is something that people might not have heard about, but if you could bring back interest by including, hey, this is classic Nintendo, and people could be like, oh, you know, I didn't know Nintendo even did this. Maybe it'll, you know, spark interest in a 1 and a 2 virtual console release, and then if, you know, Project Star Tropics, you know, does well, Nintendo could be like, okay, cool, this is actually something viable. We've gauged the interest without investing any of our own money into it.
Exactly.
Okay. So really, it ultimately does nothing but help a company potentially. I mean, because yeah, any of the core 8 are going to sell. They will sell consistently. They don't even need marketing, and they will sell. But if they can get free publicity for something, you know, because the Earthbound, it was an underground hit. It wasn't like the massive, you know, billion copies sold that people would like to think that it is. But it is something that the fan outcry grew and grew and grew, and it grew consistently. And everybody, even on the fan translation team, said, hey, Nintendo, the moment that you endorse this, we'll stop, because we want to see what you're doing. But in the meantime, we're going to do this, you know?
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I would like to see something, and again, like not necessarily publicly released. Like we don't need to know that information. Be smart about it. But like you can look and say, oh, well, they haven't made Metal Combat since 1994. Like it's been 22 years. I bet I could do a cool like Oculus Metal Combat game.
Jesus, that would be amazing. Yeah, if you had your Wii remote in an Oculus, and oh my god. Okay. Also, I want to propose to you.
Oh, John.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Well, you know, like this is it's been, we've known each other for, you know, 15 years. And imagine what it would have been like in the heyday of, like, say, intelligent systems on the Super Nintendo. You know, as soon as they finish up Metroid 3, they go, Star Tropics 3. Like, imagine what like a 16-bit Mike Jones representation could have been. Like, the sort of steel drum soundtrack, and like this new world with a tighter control scheme, and the L and R buttons used to switch weapons or whatever back and forth, and like more sprites on screen and rotating bosses, and all would have been a sort of like a weird version of Link to the Past. But I imagine a 16-bit Star Tropics, and I feel like there's just like a piece of history that could have existed that just simply didn't for some reason.
I love thinking about that.
Right, and I don't think Star Tropics 2 really did that well. I think one probably did okay. I don't think it was an exceptional title by any means, sales-wise. And 2 was probably just sort of like, well, we released this and 10 people were really cool. But, I think a 3 being reintroduced during like 1984 or 1985.
Super Star Tropics.
Dude, like imagine. Yeah, super, because that's what it would have been called,
Yeah.
Like, Superstar Tropics Return to Coral Cola or whatever, like, I don't know, Capicola. I want to eat one of those.
Pensacola,
Pensacola, Coca-Cola, Floral Cola, RC Cola.
Jones Soda.
Return to Mike Jones Soda. So, I would like companies to be able to approach this idea. It seems some do, but then there's also companies like Capcom, who during like the Mega Man 25th anniversary, maybe it was the 20th anniversary, were just like, oh, somebody made a first-person Mega Man deathmatch game up on the official community website, or hey, people made X-Men or Street Fighter versus Mega Man. Cool, this is part of our 20th anniversary re-release, and like they really just said, hey, we love this, do this.
Yeah.
And it's really, hey, you're making games for us, and we're getting publicity for it. And they didn't sell it. It was cool. They didn't have to, package it and stamp it and put it out in the open. They just said, people did this. We're going to celebrate with them. And I love their community outreach.
It makes me wonder again, though, like what's off limits for them? Like Mike Z, the developer of Skullgirls, a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, he put out what he considered like patch notes. There were theoretical patch notes for how you could make Third Strike balanced. How you could basically just tweak a couple basic things and turn it into a viable full roster game for the most part, and not just Ken versus Chun-Li. So would it be okay to, behind the scenes, just very quietly sort of work on that? And then I think that would be different because it's a product that already exists, right?
It's basically Project M.
Yeah.
It's sort of, a full tweaking of a game to make it balanced.
But if Capcom is receptive to those kinds of things, like, would they consider it as like a DLC option for Third Strike Online? Like, hey, for $2, you can enable this option that'll allow you to change the way this game functions for better balance purposes or something like that.
I feel that the reason that a company would have, I would love the idea of them theoretically looking at this and going, oh man, yeah, we'll totally do something like this. But the biggest thing that stops them is quality control lot checks that have to be so extensive. And if they're not verified internally, I know that can cause complications.
Yeah.
If they had the manpower and, it's probably a budget thing where they say we don't want to pay somebody to have to go and verify all of this code to make sure that nothing is going to ruin the game. The risk, they probably view it, I guess, as a risk, even if it's totally safe, because they have to go through and make sure nothing's going to, break any code elsewhere, and it's time and resources, right? I would imagine. But I like the idea of them considering fan input and feedback and submissions for the development side of things, and not just, hey, I made a Mega Man fan game, but like some guy goes, hey, I patched your game for you. Can you guys take a look at this and see? It's probably just a resources thing, which is a shame.
Yeah. It would be nice because I remember reading about Xbox 360 titles, and and like a live arcade game would come out and it would have a glitched achievement on launch, and it would never get patched, something like that, where it just didn't function correctly.
Yeah.
And it's the worst. And I read about a couple studios, and they're just like, yeah, we put it out, and we didn't have the resources to have a team supporting the game post-release. Like when it was done, it was done. We didn't have the time or the money to do patches.
Yeah. And I know that's always a big concern that's very easily overlooked by the community, is that it costs money for post-game content, and that does include balancing. which is always a shame because, you know, like I'd like to think that like a gigantic publisher would support that. But sometimes, you know, there's, we'll have to talk to my friend Adri. We'll get her on the show sometime because, you know, she works over at Warner Brothers and she talks a lot about whether it's a developer-driven release or a publisher-driven release and what that means to the overall presentation of a game, you know, pre and post-release. You know, when it's developer-driven, people will say, let's delay this for as long as possible. But then when we were discussing Batman Arkham Knight, she said, yeah, that's a very publisher-driven game, and it had to come out, and they knew there were problems. They were certain that they said, well, this is not going to be good, and it's not going to happen, and it's going to be truly terrible. And Iron Galaxy was like, listen, we're trying everything, and we can't fix this. And Warner Brothers was like, that sucks, we're releasing the game. Of course, and then that just becomes like a PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Nothing but apologies and refunds all over the place for something that the company knew was broken, but they were like, we got to make our money because we put the resources into giving Iron Galaxy the go-ahead, and Iron Galaxy like, guys, we can't do anything. We literally cannot fix this. I mean,
I am looking forward to that conversation. I hope we get her on soon.
Yeah, and she said she's totally willing to. I think she'd have a lot of fun because she's super smart and she is very educated in terms of how like the internal sort of org structure goes. And she can, I think, say quite a bit. You know, she can't tell me all the secrets, of course, but
right.
You know. But yeah.
So I had an idea, John, and I think it's the worst idea I've ever had.
Okay, a Snoopy memo. All right, what?
A Snoopy. Well, let me put an asterisk by that because I think it's a good idea for most people.
The Snoopy MMO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would really like that, and MetLife could foot the bill for a lot of the advertising.
Okay.
So the NX, right?
Yeah.
The rumor going around is that it's going to launch with a Smash.
Oh, right, like sort of a remastered, like Bandai Namco's helping, like a launch version, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are just assuming that it's going to be Smash 4, sort of upscaled and with some new things, maybe.
All the 3DS stages thrown in, or some more classic stuff thrown in.
Something like that. Okay. But the thought occurred to me that if Nintendo really wanted to sell this console and do it by launching with a Smash, you know where I'm going with this.
Completely.
Melee HD.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It would do online.
Yep.
You know, same physics engine.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be cool if they had like basically like a Smash collection that had all 4 of the games online fully, all fully remastered. But if you want to Smash 64, you want to play that online, it's got this game's physics. This is Smash 64. Cool, you can play it online, and it might be kind of slower paced and limited in terms of roster and stage selection, but that's the experience.
Yeah.
Oh, but you guys wanted Melee. That's right. Okay, here's your GameCube controller adapter. Pop online, you've still got like the same physics, you still got the same engine. You know, only 5 characters are truly, you know, super viable, and of course that's a whole whatever. But like the sort of like the Smash Brothers suite. Melee online,
yeah,
would rock a lot of foundation because you would. The Melee scene is so huge, you could officially sanction Melee for HD TVs at tournaments, and it would look great. It would play great. It would be awesome to have, you know, streaming of an HD game as opposed to still using GameCubes on CRTs. And if you throw that thing online, you know, with a strong like service, a very capable, strong online service, it would be a good move. Because no matter which version of Smash you like, you know, you're set.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't want that to happen, but
it would be. I mean, it's a smart business move, right?
It would sell like crazy.
Yeah, it would. The Smash collection would go nuts. That's fair.
Speaking of bad ideas, did you see the movie news that came out today?
Yeah. The problem that I have with it is that I saw somebody say this is going to be the Who Framed Roger Rabbit of Sonic movies, and I was like, that is inaccurate.
That doesn't even make sense as an analogy.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's all, oh, you know, CG and live action. I was like, no, that happens all over the place, and Roger Rabbit is not the correct analogy for this. You know, because it's not like a Sega All-Stars, you know, meets the Beatles or something. That would be like a Roger Rabbit.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. I want all CG The Beatles versus Scooby Doo.
I think the Beatles would win.
Yeah, because they're people and they can kick a dog.
Yeah,
He's not like a very good dog. He's just
it's a big dog, but there's 4 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you give them a pair of brass knuckles and some nunchucks. They'll make short work of Scooby Doo because he's probably stoned.
Yeah,
that's the problem with Scooby Doo.
Right, he needs to get a job.
Yeah, go get a job and lay off the ganja. That's what the kids call it, right?
Yeah.
Crap. I've never felt so old this past week, by the way, because I had a young man come and shadow me at the store. Totally cool. He was like, hey, man, your line of work, I think it'd be really fun to sort of check it out, see what you do for a day. And so he was there with me the whole day. We ran errands. We sold stuff. We, cleaned things up. Like, it was like a whole really good full day of work experience that he got to come in and see. And as we were driving to Kinko's to go print some stuff out for cases at the store, we were discussing stuff. And I was like, yeah, cool. So, yeah, how old are you? And he was like, oh, I'm just like a senior in high school. It's like, oh, God. And he's like, yeah, I'm 17. I was like, oh, so you're just half my age. So that's weird. And I was like, so now I am getting to the point where I feel a little bit older because, like, as I'm, using the internet more and more, I see these phrases pop up that I'm now beginning to be unsure of. I'm like, on fleek. Uh-oh. I don't know this by default. What is that?
If my memes are dank, is that good or bad?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I hobble over to like Urban Dictionary and I'm like, on point. Okay. I could have, sort of like process that and put it together. And then there's somebody who today was like, oh, this is me dabbing whatever. And I was like, I don't know. I just don't know. What do I do? So I'm starting to panic because I'm losing it. I'm out of touch. We're out of touch,
Yeah.
Like the song, it's now. And I panicked. Yeah, I started driving really slow and I'm having a hard time breathing and
yeah.
I'm calling up and inquiring about my health care and
watching a lot more NCIS.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I got home and I got to clean my dentures and I was like, I don't understand what's going on. But I still got it for an old guy. I'm not that old, I know, but like I still got it.
Yeah.
I still play a video game and do pretty well. I'm playing Bayonetta 2 a lot right now. I'm trying to platinum the whole game. It's the best, really. It might be better than Bionic Commando 2009.
Oh, John.
Dude. Well, the thing is, she's also prettier than Rad Spencer.
Oh, John.
I know. I love his flaming red hair and his Mike Patton voice. So it's a pretty tough call. But as I'm playing through it, it's like literally the most responsive game. There have been 0 patches applied, and I've never come across an issue in this game that's ever made me go, man, they need to fix that.
Yeah.
That's so remarkable. From the soundtrack to the speed to the action to the responsiveness, the frame rate, like it is the package, man. It is really just so unbelievably perfectly put together that I can't help but admire this as maybe being in my top 5 of all time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. I can just play it over and over.
That's good.
It's a sign of a good game.
And also that means you're not old, because I hang around with a lot of curmudgeon-y old people, and they're like, oh, my top 5 games are all like before 1996.
Mule.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of games for the NES that start with M period.
That's true, yeah. That is. Too many. More than you would expect.
Mule, Muscle.
That's right.
M. Night Shyamalan's Alf.
Oh, God, I wish. I wonder what would be the plot twist, is I guess that Alf doesn't get kidnapped by the alien task force. God. It's too depressing.
Alien Task Force has the same initials as alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Yeah.
I think they just got Alf because he was selling drugs.
Yeah, exactly. They were like a
serial DEA, I guess. I guess he could be gun running. I guess, okay, he was gun running.
He was, yeah. He was an
we all knew it.
Intergalactic smuggler. He probably had weapons in a spaceship. I mean, he was from a planet that got destroyed in nuclear war. There would have been some means of defense.
Yeah.
He was on an interplanetary defense patrol for 200 years. I don't know. There was not enough Alf games, but there's also way more Alf games than I ever knew about, and most of them are for old crummy PCs.
Yeah, and none of them are good.
No.
But that's how many games have had, or how many sitcoms have had games spun off of them that are worth playing?
Home Improvement is not an awful game. It's not a good game, but like it's on par with average Super Nintendo releases.
I guess.
I mean, now like you have Dinosaurs and Staple Guns because like there are games out there that I would rather not play over Home Improvement. I don't think Home Improvement's great, but like all things considered, it could be so much worse than it is.
Yeah, it could be made by Koei.
It's
Yeah,
not like a strategy.
turn-based strategy game.
I would play that though.
You have to sell Binford tools while keeping Jill happy.
This is too much micromanagement for Tim Taylor.
Well, you can always go talk to Wilson in the backyard, and he'll like play the turn for you, but just once.
Yeah, an auto strategy.
Yeah,
Pretty good. I wish that there was a Full House game on the True Lies engine. This is the only problem, and they didn't do that.
no. Well, I mean, Fuller House is coming out, so there's a possibility.
That's just as a browser game, like 6-bit, like action, blow them up kind of. Like
Yeah.
My neighbors. I think they should have licensed and used the GoldenEye engine for a lot more games as well. Perfect Dark was amazing, but I think there's a lot of missed opportunity for that era in movies. So you could have done Dante's Peak, all Pierce Brosnan games, movies.
Okay.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
On the GoldenEye engine, and there's like a scene where if you're playing on like 00 agent difficulty, that's the condition for when you have to like perform the Heimlich at the restaurant.
Right. You have to throw fruit at people and then put fire out on your boobs.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not in the easy mode because that's, you just basically have to walk through the house and dust some sofas or whatever. Yeah, I think there's some opportunities. Some guy right now, I saw this online, is releasing, it's a fan game that's based off of Battle of Olympus for the original Game Boy, but he's making it into a Zelda 2 like sort of pseudo sequel because Battle of Olympus was very Zelda 2-esque.
Yeah, very.
And it's interesting because like the sprite that he chose actually represents far less the Zelda 2 Link and much more so like the Battle of Olympus guy modified to look like Link, and it actually looks more uncomfortable. But it's cool. It's a fan thing, so like whatever, it's his business. But I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out because when I think of like a Zelda 2 game, the Zelda 2 engine is so comfortable and I think so well done because the game feels very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very solid playing game, like it or hate it, based off of your Zelda preferences. But in terms of like its own sort of development, I think it's an extremely well put together action game. Frame rate, controls are extremely tight. So I feel that I would not give this thing a fair chance because I think of it as needing to play like Zelda 2 if you're going to sort of go back in that direction.
Yeah, and Battle of Olympus, it comes close, but it doesn't. It's a bigger game, but it doesn't quite have. It's got some rough edges to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then there was what was it? Faxanadu is also extremely similar.
Yeah.
If you could remake any NES game with the same system. If you could remake Zelda 2 as another 8-bit game,
yeah,
how would you do it?
I would not replace all the sprites with TNC Surf Design sprites.
What? Why? There's a gorilla. You don't like them.
I don't like them.
You don't like any of them.
Especially the cat.
What's his name? Cool Cat?
Yeah.
Joe Cat? I don't know. Joe Cool?
Joe Camel.
Joe Camel? This is a new tobacco game on the TNC engine.
Yeah.
Surf your way into a life of nicotine.
Philip Morris's tracheotomy wood and water rage.
I wish there was a license like that. Okay. So we got a pretty good, topic pool this evening.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else that has come out recently that we have not yet breached. Parts of the Xbox One came out recently. And I hear the Xbox One version is actually a really shitty kind of PC port. It's still technically in beta, from what I understand. But I've also heard it's still worth playing because it's so fun that all the technical problems aside, like it's still just this is a great game.
Which game?
Arc.
Oh yeah.
And I really want to.
I have a friend who's really into it. It's just not my kind of game, but
would you play it with the right people? Is that the kind of game that, depending on the audience, it might be more appealing?
I don't think so, because I've yet to really. I've tried those kinds of games with a lot of different groups, and it's so meandering and thankless, I guess, that it doesn't really speak to me.
Would you play it with the Black Panthers?
Yeah, I'd be too scared not to.
That's fair. Open your gate, cracker. My raptor needs some food. That's what I would expect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear about the Red Dead Redemption thing that with the Xbox One? That was kind of interesting.
I did actually. I looked into it to see if I had gotten it for free on Games with Gold some years back and tried it, and then it wasn't there. And I actually went to see if I could download Symphony of the Night as well, because apparently that and one of the two, I think Tekken 6, 7, not 7, 6, Tag 2. I don't know. It was a Tekken game.
Yeah, some kind of Tekken.
Yeah, some tea kettle game. And I actually went and tried to see if I could get into any of those, and was checking people's profiles and trying to download, and it didn't end up happening. But interesting how that works out, because if the game is there and available on some level, it seems like a license is essentially finalized, and the game's fully compatible and good to go. So what's stopping it? Because I don't know what their lot check process is for any of that. So it's not just as simple as like, dude, Microsoft, what are you guys doing? I'm sure there has to be some bit of information that's not, publicly displayed that I just didn't know about. But I want to play Red Dead Redemption again.
You want to redeem Dead Reds?
I want them to do a Red Dead Redemption HD, the way they did Grand Theft Auto 5 for the next gen systems, because I'm still blown away by that game. We still play it, and it's funny because I never would have thought, but we play this game every single Saturday night, and I love it. I have such a good time just messing around. Do I say that every week?
No.
Okay. Because I should, because I love it that much. We don't even get things done. We just, drive trucks around into other trucks and try to make each other explode. And one of our mini games that we were playing one night, because we have a lot of meta games that we try to establish, is seeing how many people you can kill by having a bunch of people stand around a propane tank and having your other character stand far enough away and then shooting themselves in the head, because it actually registers it as an actual bullet, and anything behind it will still get detected. And so we try to shoot ourselves from 50 feet away to see if we can aim the bullet into the propane tank so it still explodes and kills all the people around it. Yeah, it's really interesting, the kinds of stuff that game contains. And I love it. I'm very impressed with that game, and I think it's remarkably well done, and as an online entity, especially because the single player I loved. It was great. I beat it last generation, totally dug it. But Grand Theft Auto Online is such an expansive, huge world. Juanita and I were playing the other night, and she was watching me just walk around, and we went and changed our clothes and got new cars and got new rims, and I put on a different hat, and I was changing my outfit and getting tattoos and just customizing the hell out of whatever it is I was doing. And she just said, this is basically Animal Crossing for adults. Was her take on it, because it's just a world. You just go do things. You can go and do heists, you can do missions, you can take stuff on, but you can just dick around infinitely. And I love it. I love that game. I never thought I would find myself saying that.
Yeah, it's surprising, but I mean, it speaks to the quality of the game, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
You mentioned that you said that the world was very big, and Trent told me something that was kind of interesting. He said that some guy made a YouTube video where he sort of mapped out game worlds based on how big your character is and how long it takes you to get from this point to this point. And he said that Grand Theft Auto 5, Fallout 4, and a third game, and I can't remember what that third game was, but essentially their worlds are all the exact same size.
Damn.
So Los Santos is as big as the entirety of Fallout 4.
That's pretty impressive. I never actually would have really thought of that or about that. It's a lot of work. I can't imagine as a developer how much time goes into that, because the way I feel overwhelmed thinking about, like, I'm starting with this one building. And then I gotta put the windows up there, and then I gotta put the trash cans outside, and then I gotta get the texture right. So like there's the steps, and then there's the railing, and then there's like, you know, newspapers on the ground outside. And like the idea of like sculpting something so massive, and like that one building's gonna take you like, you know, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know, like a long time, right? But you have a group of environment artists that are, you know, like probably, you know, 50 strong, just focused on that. But then they have to coordinate, and they have to make sure everything looks good and appropriate and is sized properly. In that, like, this whole thing, like if you were standing 20 feet away from this group of buildings, you just think, oh, that's what downtown LA looks like.
Yeah.
Then you have the guys that are like, what do the beachfront houses look like? You gotta make sure all those are good. And what do the pier, you know, shops look like? And then what does the countryside look like? And it's so, it's too much for me to think about, because I don't like the idea of like beginning a project of that scale and thinking, well, in 1,000 days from now, maybe we'll be mostly done. You know?
So the third game was The Division.
The Division, okay.
Yeah. And all three of those games are larger than Skyrim.
Larger than life.
Larger than lasagna.
Or is that in sync?
That is in sync. Wait.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know either. Shit.
Larger.
No, that's Backstreet Boys. That's got to be Backstreet Boys.
Okay, it's like Brian Luttrell.
Yeah.
That's my boy. That's my boy, Luttrell. Luttrell, my bell. That's what I used to call him when we would sleep together.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, we would sleep like in the same apartment, not like we wouldn't.
Oh, right. He was your neighbor.
He was just my neighbor.
At the same time.
A hole in the wall between our two suites, our flats.
Oh, it was in England.
Yeah, I mean, like he'd be like, dude, my bathroom's broken. I'm like, dude, don't worry, I got one. And then he'd come in and be like, dude, my stove doesn't work. And he'd be like, don't worry, you can have my stove. We had a really good thing going on. And because our beds were like essentially next to each other on like, you know, conjoining walls, it felt like we were sleeping together, except for like there was a wall and a half between us. Right,
like a plaster curtain.
Basically, yeah, exactly. And if I ever wanted to like look at his eyes, I could just like punch a hole through the wall and sort of just stare at him while I'm laying there. I'd press play on my stereo and listen to his voice. That's what I like about him, because he was cool with that. Mr. Luttrell. So, potential NX reveal at E3. I mean, I guess they're going to reveal it. I don't know if it's going to be playable at all. But if they're still, you know, speculating that it's going to be released this year, then yeah, it'll be playable. But is it released this year?
No.
I don't think so either.
I want them to delay it as long as possible. I really do.
I agree.
I know they said that it's got like top of the market, like cutting edge hardware inside of it.
A lot of good things, yeah.
But you just can't. I mean, unless it goes crazy and sells like the Wii, but has the same kind of long term support as something like the Super Nintendo or the PS2.
Yeah,
they're signing their own death warrant by releasing in the middle of a console generation.
Yeah, a Saturn / Dreamcast scenario. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. We'll see. We'll see. I trust Kimishima's judgment right now, and I hope that he does what is best for the company. So I don't know, but he also did say that they're going to be revealing like some really major like titles for 3DS, especially this year, and I believe some big Wii U hitters as well too. But 3DS is still going quite strong, and I'm glad they have that in their favor. But I want to know like what their big titles are. I mean, besides Superstar Tropics.
Yeah. Let's see. Superstar Tropics.
Mm-hmm.
Nestor's Funky Bowling 2.
Yeah, Tim Star Online.
Yeah.
It's a big
let's see what else we got here. We've got 1080 Snowboarding 2017.
Oh my god. If I actually okay, so the only real disappointment I have with Smash 4 is that like Dion Blaster or Rob Haywood were not in the game.
Yeah.
I would have truly loved Rob Haywood so much. He's in several Nintendo titles. He's in like 3 different games.
Yep.
You know, they're all sports games, whatever, but he's in them. And a 1080 level where like you're playing like on like, like outside like the cabin or whatever, and every now and then like an avalanche would just come down and just cream you right off the screen. I think it would be super cool. And Rob Haywood could he could pull like a jet ski and slam you over the head with it, or he could smash you with his snowboard or whatever it is, or like uppercut you with his bag of cocaine. Yeah, missed opportunity, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So, they should have dropped all the Fire Emblem characters and put in 5 to 1080 snowboarding characters. And I'll play exactly the same. No, they should have like a sports.
All right, Johnny, you ready? I'm going to challenge you.
All right, let's go.
Can you name 5? I'll make it a little easier for you. We're going to split it up.
Okay.
5 Wave Race or 1080 characters off the top of your head.
Kensuke Kimachi.
That's 1.
Rob Haywood.
That's 2.
Dion Blaster.
That's 3.
Shit, hold on. I know. Like, those are the 3 that I solidly know. Ayumi Hamasaki.
I think that's like a techno artist.
Maybe. Do I have a 1080 snowboarding guide over there? Those are the 3 that I solidly know. Because those are the only ones I ever picked.
Okay.
No, I picked one of the chicks from 1080 pretty consistently. She had like a pink jacket on, and in Wave Race I picked one of the chicks.
Mm-hmm. I think it's actually the same person.
I think so too. Yeah, I probably picked the same girl because I was like, oh, you can make her, give her green hair or whatever. I don't know. Are you sure Ayumi Hamasaki? Hold on.
You're close, but it's not that. They've got a list up now.
You do have a list? Okay. Dang, man. Dank
characters.
Yeah, well, Dion Blaster is the most dank of them all.
He really is.
That's also the coolest name.
Yeah, and the way he says it, Dion Blaster.
I know. There's got the Killer Instinct guy, Chris. It wasn't Chris Seaver. Chris, other guy. Other Chris.
Stamper?
Was it Stamper? I don't think it was a Stamper. It was a third Chris.
Oh.
I don't know. There was Chris and Mike were like the two.
No, wasn't it Ken Lobb that did the?
He did the voice of Chief Thunder.
Oh.
Yeah, but he didn't do like the Ultra combo and like all the combo voices. I love Ken Lobb though. That's my boy, my boyfriend. Sorry, Brian. Those are the only 3 I can think of offhand.
Well, see, you can't have 5 of them in Smash Bros.
Well, ideally it would be 8 because you'd choose like the one like sports character, and all the different costumes would be.
Oh.
Yeah.
But there's still you get rid of all the Fire Emblem characters.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And then put Mike Jones, Zoda, Black Bull, 10 Star, and Dion Blaster. So those are the 5 Fire Emblem characters. We good?
Yeah.
Okay, that evened us all out. All right, so who are the Wave Race and 1080 characters?
So you want to start with 1080 like vanilla or 1080 Avalanche because they have different rosters.
We'll do vanilla first.
Okay. So you got Kensuke Kimachi, you got Rob Haywood and Dion Blaster, Ricky Winterborn. Sup?
I should have known him. Damn it. Okay.
And the female character from both Wave Race and 1080 is Akari Hayami.
Akari Hayami. Okay. Yeah. All right. I should have known that, but I couldn't remember. All right.
Let's see, for 1080 original, for Avalanche, there's Tara Hunter and Cayman Vasquez.
Oh, I forgot about them almost entirely.
And Wave Race has Ryota Hayami.
That's right.
David Mariner. Nigel Carver.
I didn't even remember him.
Ayumi Stewart.
Whoa, dang.
And Serena Del Mar.
Serena Del Mar. I don't remember her either. Is Ayumi Stewart Dr. Stewart's like great-great-grandmother?
Well, she is from the U.S. Is Dr. Stewart from the U.S.? Does the U.S. even exist in F-Zero?
He seems like he's a pretty... Well, I guess he might be from a different planet entirely, so the United States of the Moon. I don't know what planet Dr. Stewart's from. No, was he from Port Town?
No, he's from Ute City. Captain Falcon is from Port Town.
That's right. Okay. And Pico's from Deathwind.
Yes, and Samurai Goro is
Red Canyon?
Yep.
Okay.
We're so good at this.
I know, yeah. F-Zero pros. If they just would have released a Smash Brothers with nothing but F-Zero characters, every character from GX, I would also be okay with that.
I would be okay. That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just want 30-player online F-Zero GX.
If the NX launches with like a bunch of GameCube remastered games online, I'm good. And Tin Star Online HD.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, no, that would do it for me. Mario Sunshine Online?
No.
No?
You know how I feel.
You didn't like that game?
I don't like Mario Sunshine. I think
no. It's just...
if you compare it to every other Mario game, it might be the worst one.
Wow.
I think as on its own, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And it plays decently compared to like a lot of GameCube era platformers. It's better than average.
Okay, because I liked it because it finally had like really good camera control.
It's true. It does.
Yeah, and that's what I think was like the biggest selling point for me is that like I felt way more in control of the situation. Maybe creatively, like it was less inspired as a game. It looked great, but I can if that's sort of what you're going for. You didn't like I don't like Bowser Jr.
No.
I don't like him. It's not my thing.
I can give you my list of things I don't like about Mario Sunshine.
Do you have like one written out?
It's so well ingrained in my head. I can probably put it all together.
Okay, I'm curious actually.
Blue coins. One, that they exist. Two, that there isn't some kind of level by level checklist. Like you don't even have to have like the max number in each level. If there was something on the HUD that told you how many you'd collected in each area, that would be enough.
Isn't there? I thought there actually were.
There's nothing like that.
Because I remember it being difficult to track. Like, oh, I didn't get them all on this level. That's where it is.
Yeah, they don't tell you at all. The only way when I play that game now, I deliberately don't spend my blue coins until I have them all, and those are the only shines I have left. Because otherwise, I'd get completely lost as to which ones, how many I have, and where I need to look for them.
Too hard to keep track of them. Okay, are you sure? I felt like there's something.
I am 98% positive. It's very likely. Maybe I just like missed a menu somewhere, but I am almost certain that there is no way to keep track of that.
I'm gonna double check because I feel like that there's something that's not as awful about that. I remember it's not optimal. It's not like a great setup. But I felt that like there's some like sort of menu that you can go to where you can see that, oh, I've got 20 out of 30 in Rico Harbor or whatever. You don't know which ones, but you know that there's like 2 left. I thought there was something because I remember
also a lot of them are placed in really stupid spots that you have the what is it, the level that's on fire and you have to climb to the top of the tree and spray the sun to make one of them pop out.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's fair. I won't disagree that the blue coins were not great.
2. Yoshi.
Okay. He vomited juice everywhere.
I do like the way it sounds when he's spitting juice. It's like
everywhere.
But the fact that he dissolves when you touch water in a game that is 90% water is beyond frustrating.
That's the challenge, though. Because if you had Yoshi with you all the time, everything would be so easy in that game.
I agree, but Yoshi is not it's so hard to get Yoshi in the first place.
So that makes the reward of him. He's not the same type of entity that he is in Mario World. In that, he's basically just like you've earned like cheat mode in Mario World. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this, it's kind of like, hey, this is your vehicle. Make sure you don't lose it. This is like a special condition kind of thing.
Yeah, but then the only instance, there's 2 spots where he's useful that are just like, oh, cool, I finally unlock Yoshi. Like, I can go take care of this.
Yeah.
And then the other, 3 are so difficult.
They're really, yeah, that's fair. Extremely tough.
And a lot of these things, let me say this.
Okay.
If you're playing Mario Sunshine just to beat Bowser and see the ending, good luck on that last level because it sucks.
Is it like the
B,
Mountain Road area? Like, would
the
you go-
the lava boat, the canoe that you have to.
that was pretty rough.
B, enjoy that final boss fight because I think that's one of the best looking scenes on the GameCube. Period.
Yeah, that water effect, man.
And then C, like you're gonna have an okay time. To just finish the game, you can kind of bypass all the frustrating bad parts for the most part, and just get enough shines to beat the game. Cool. If you're doing 120 shines, God have mercy on your soul. So let me continue. 3, some of the bonus stages, like not the levels where Shadow Mario takes your backpack. So we'll get to those later. But the pachinko machine, and the other boat level where your leaf just dissolves immediately if you don't do it perfectly. Those are terrible.
I liked the hard one. I did like the leaf one because I remember being so challenging that it felt great to accomplish.
Yeah.
Eco level and stuff like that was so arbitrary in terms of like, am I going to win this? I remember being beyond frustrated at that because I didn't feel there was any semblance of actual skill. It was kind of like, well, I hope that I get it this time. But okay.
Here's 4, and this is the big one.
Okay.
Flood.
You don't like the Flood? You not like his voice?
I don't like anything about Flood. I don't like his voice. I don't like the way he looks is kind of okay, but it looks like you could just break him. Like if Mario fell backwards, it would just shatter and snap, and he'd have glass in his bag.
He's made out of plexiglass.
But I don't like using Flood. I don't like switching between nozzles. I don't like having to keep water refilled. I don't like hovering everywhere in that game. I don't like how pretty useless the turbo nozzle is.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I don't think it controls well. I think it hampers Mario's movement in the way that when people say like I don't like water levels, and the reasoning is that it kind of breaks the flow of the whole game. Because it's so slow and sort of drifty. That's how I feel about Flood. I think it kind of robs the sort of speed and free movement of a Mario game, 2D or 3D, and forces you to do some like tricky index trigger finger, nozzle pumping and jumping and attacking all at once. Like it's too much and it doesn't feel good to use.
That's interesting because I do feel the opposite. I actually loved the hover feature. I think games with a hovering mechanic are fun because there's a very different style of precision that I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, and I admit, like I use the hover almost like I don't spray things in Mario Sunshine. I just keep hover on and fly over them.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
But for B, and this is one of the things that I actually like about Mario Sunshine, and this is where I feel that it serves to point out Flood's weaknesses, is that to me, the levels where Shadow Mario steals Flood are the most fun in that game.
Actually, I do agree with that. I think that getting the pure platforming back is really nice. And it's interesting that like it seems like it's more of like a bonus feature of the game, pure platforming, than it is a factor.
Let's see. Bowser Jr. sucks.
Yeah. Sorry, Bowser Jr. You're a pee-pee.
I don't like a lot of the levels in Mario Sunshine. My favorite is the hotel. Okay. And after that, I would probably go with the first level.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big, the level design tends to be on the frustrating side. The bad levels usually have like 1 or 2 shines to them that I like getting. Like, what is it? Rococo Harbor? Or Rico Harbor?
Rico Harbor, yeah.
I hate Rico Harbor, but I love the squid racing. So there's at least there's always like something for me. But then the inverse is also true, which is that all the good levels have at least one like really just terrible shine to get.
Yeah.
For example, the watermelon contest.
Oh yeah.
Number 6, cataquacks. Cataquacks are the worst thing ever.
That's totally fair. Those things suck balls. A friend of mine kept calling them snails for some reason, and that always made me upset because, yeah, those things are awful.
They don't look good. They're
Not
total
attractive.
assholes. And you can't ever you can beat occasionally some of them.
Yeah.
These are some of my beefs with Mario Sunshine. I could probably find more if I really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to pick up durians is really frustrating.
Oh, yeah, that whole mission was dicks. Yeah, I can agree with that as well too. So I don't cite it as a perfect game by any means. I genuinely actually really like it, but I think a lot of examples you have are extremely confounded, and I understand why a lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
And for the same reason that I also understand why most people don't like Bionic Commando 2009. That's totally fair. All the reasons that people can see that as a bad game.
Oh yeah.
To me.
And that's the kind of perspective that I like. I mean, yes, if someone brings up Mario Sunshine, I almost 100% of the time my gut reaction is just roll my eyes and groan. But yeah, if that's one of your favorite games, if you like that game, okay, I should respect that opinion. I don't always, but I should.
Yeah.
Because a lot of for example, Earthbound. Mm-hmm. I routinely list Earthbound in my top 10 games of all time. But when I'm really kind of thinking about it critically, it's like a 7.5 out of 10 at best.
Sure.
It's not flat. It doesn't really innovate in any way, and it's got some problems.
But it's got a genuine value to you that is exclusive and very subjectively.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend that game to people. I'm like, what's some classic Super Nintendo games I should play? Mm-hmm. I skip Earthbound. I'll tell you, yeah, it's one of my favorite games, but odds are good you're not going to enjoy it. Unless you really get into the characters and the story.
Devil's Third. I still enjoy the game, and it's not a game that I'm ever going to tell anybody to buy. Ever. It is not a game that I want anybody to play because people aren't going to like it. People will not like that game.
Yeah. It's things like that. Those to me are the games that are the most interesting. Perfect 10s, even high 9s. Yeah, everyone should probably play those games because they're either really solid and fun, or they have some kind of historical significance, and it's worth experiencing that.
I think
games that are no, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it makes me think of when you say that, is that book I remember that both of us were very critical about that we saw at the library.
Yeah, 1,001 games to play before you die.
And I was like, these games are going to be so dumb. It's going to be every Call of Duty, every Halo, every whatever. And then the variety and the actual quality of games that was the whole spread over a bunch of different systems was legitimately oh man.
Yeah, I think the first page you opened to had Burning Rangers on it, and I was like, okay, sold. This guy is actually
fine. Yeah, exactly. Burning Rangers. You got maybe Grand Theft Auto 3. You got Jet Set Radio. You probably had God Hand. It was a spread that was so legitimately guys, this is going to be a full spectrum. It was a phenomenal list, absolutely outstanding, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I want to pick up that book still, actually.
Yeah, I do too, because it's legitimately I want to sit down and see what I've played and see what I should actually play, as per this dude's genuine recommendation.
I'm sure there's a ton of PC games in there that I've heard of, most likely, but that I've never played, and I think it'd be really cool to.
I bet there's a bunch of TNC Strip Design games that I've never played that I think would be really cool. We should go on some sort of fan mod rampage, and I will put all of the TNC Surf Design characters in any game that you want.
Okay. Clock Tower.
Which one?
Clock Tower.
The gorilla is just coming to chop you with scissors. Thrilla Gorilla. He has this cool little the thing that protects the back of his neck. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah.
It's just cool early 90s wacky colors. It's purple and green.
Yep.
God, that's exciting.
I now own a copy of TNC Surf Designs as of last week.
Is it just for the sake of it's part of the collection?
Oh, I want to play through it. I played it as a child.
You ever get good at surfing?
Yeah, at one point, yes. I no longer have that skill, but I did.
I was going to say, I hardly believe you, but
I did understand how it worked at one point. I grew up playing California games, so really obtuse extreme sports mini games eventually make sense to me, with the exception of Skate or Die.
Yeah.
What is it? I think it's the ramp or the half pipe.
Half pipe, I could never understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nope, I could never get it. The only
I can joust. I can downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do the half fight.
I like it when there's like game mechanics that like the only people who it makes sense to are like the 3 guys that programmed it. They're like, "Oh, dude, this is awesome," and then they just never told anybody how it works.
Yeah.
They submitted it to QA, and they're like, "Hey, did you guys like it?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was really fun." And then, yeah.
Well, yeah, Ultra put out so many games, they probably just had a lot on their plate, and like, that's good, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can the guys who programmed it beat it? Yeah. Okay, then we're fine.
Yeah.
Just nobody ever knew. It was insider like programming DNA.
Man, I tried to beat I decided I was going to beat Track and Field too.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit after like 20 minutes because my thumbs gave out, and I didn't even make it past like the first day. Like, I don't normally have that problem. And A, I might just be getting older, or B, it's that bad. But my hands hurt. They hurt bad.
I hate that feeling. I was playing something the other day, and I was gripping the controller for a very long time, and it hurt my fingers after a while. So I was like, "This is weird. This is a bad sign, I think." But I'm trying to remember what it was.
You like the Xbox One controller, correct?
I do.
Now, given the option, would you like to have sort of a universal controller that was modeled in the shape of an Xbox One that you could just hook into any system?
To be totally honest, am I able to like sort of create my own Ultra controller, or like would I have to choose one that would be like universally?
One universal.
Okay. So I got to pick from pre-existing controllers.
Yes. And it doesn't count for like buttons. Like, let's assume that if you wanted a Genesis controller, or that's a bad example. If you wanted a
3DO controller.
Yeah. Something with like a decent amount of buttons on it, like a GameCube controller, right?
Okay, so yeah.
A GameCube controller has not enough buttons to play Jaguar games, so it wouldn't work.
Right. Ultimately, the Xbox One controller is a pretty solid piece of work, especially the Elite with the extra little like dongles on the back, which I could see becoming a really interesting standard if people can retrain themselves to utilize those for certain features, because the idea of being able to keep your thumbs on both sticks at all times and reloading would never have to be delegated to like moving your thumb off of the stick while you're in the middle of doing something is an incredible feature. But retraining your body to like commit to that is a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
In all truth, I love the Wii U Pro controller so much, but the only beef I have with it is that the dead zone for the sticks is actually a little bit bigger. In fact, it's a decent chunk bigger than most of the controllers. And so for precision on certain things, it totally doesn't work. For mini games, it's no problem. But if like you're trying to like snipe something or like, play with exact precision, Xbox One controller is better on that front to me. So ultimately, I might pick that because it's overall going to be sort of the most that I need.
Well suited to most things that you're going to need to do.
Anything I'm going to play, I can adapt. The button layout, the triggers, the bumpers. I love the D-pad. I would probably choose Xbox One Elite controller if I had to pick like the one kind of like finalized. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Up until a couple months ago, I would have definitely said like a DualShock 2. But I no longer feel that way. I might go with honestly, I might go with the DualShock 4 though, because I really like it's a little bit wider, and it just feels. I was holding a DualShock, not even a DualShock, an original PlayStation controller recently, and it gives me the same feeling where it's almost like you're using a Wiimote and a nunchuck, but there's just that little bridge in between. Okay. But other than that, like it feels like your two hands are very independent, holding up this sort of light middle ground.
I can see that.
If I'm going to be completely honest, if it had more buttons, I might go with the Virtual Boy controller.
It's not a bad controller.
I love the dual D-pad.
I do too. I think it's a great idea, and I love like the position of the triggers in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. A lot of people would not agree because I think on principle they wouldn't understand because they already, snap judgment.
Right.
But it was a very comfortable controller.
Yep.
Okay.
Good grips and like just a decent shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it felt comfortable to hold. I agree. I fully agree. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think the PS4 controller is extremely good.
Yeah.
I think it helps that like the actual handles are more rounded than the DualShock 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And for me, that makes a world of difference because that's the only controller that ever like sort of dug into my palms when I held it for a long period of time. And the board is rounded enough to where like I don't feel uncomfortable. The back triggers are absolutely fantastic. It just it feels great in the hand. Plus, I also like the slightly concave, element of the analog sticks.
Yeah, those feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Great controller. Plus, I like that you can plug it into your PS3 and use it for that. And
yeah.
PS3 games with your PS4 controller, and it feels good. I mean, I think there's like a couple weird things here and there that don't register, but
I just wish more people were doing more with the touchpad. I really like what Street Fighter V is doing with it, even though it's really simple and basic.
I don't know if I know what it's doing.
So you can map certain scenarios in training mode to different like thirds of the touchpad. So if you're working on a combo that only works in the corner, you can program the left side of the touchpad to blink the screen and set it so that you're like mid-screen and your opponent's in the corner.
Right. Okay. I think I did read that or hear about that somewhere, but that's cool. That's super nice.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited for that game.
I am too. I was really considering picking it up day one. I'm probably going to wait on it just a little bit. I might wait a month or two for the DLC to start rolling out.
But you want to save fight money ready so you can get Alex right out of the gate.
I agree, but at the same time, it would be nice to just have like, it'd be nice to have something to work towards, to have it already out instead of having to be like, well, I'm working on it, and hopefully he doesn't cost like 100 when I have 10,000.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess it's kind of cool, yeah, to have to earn him. Okay, I can see that. What if you have to buy various body parts for him? Like you can like initially download his torso, but you have to get like you have to earn his nipples and like his teeth and stuff so he doesn't look all terrible.
I like the idea.
Customize his body, give him his fingernails back.
It's not even customizing. It's just you have to unlock parts of his body.
Exactly. Yeah, where's his nostrils? Oh, I don't have enough fight money.
Yeah.
He can't breathe.
Really expensive.
Yeah. That's stupid Capcom. They're not listening to this and they're not gonna hire me, so they aren't gonna listen to my cool ideas.
No.
If you had to unlock, his left eye. Otherwise
you could just leave Christian Svensson a lot of voicemails.
He's not with Capcom anymore. He wouldn't care. Maybe he would. He has probably the right channels though.
Yeah, if you just keep bugging him.
I'll send him an excerpt. I'll make an audio clip of this and put it in his inbox, and then he can be like, "Oh, dude, I don't even know if Ben Judd is there either, or no, Seth Killian. Everybody like left, right? I think.
Yeah.
Gone.
Umbo Fiend is there right now.
Okay, so maybe.
No one I can think of.
I have a couple connections. I might be able to get a hold of somebody at Capcom.
Yeah.
See what I can do. Okay. Well, whoever's listening to this, I guess you just email Yoshinori Ono and be like, "Hey, dude, like, you're almost there." But here,
right.
You're
so close to having a perfect 10.
Yeah, exactly. Do we know how many seasons of DLC have they announced? If they're just going to be doing like, because I don't think. I mean, they're releasing this as like a platform and then building upon that periodically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea, and the great thing about that is that you buy the game once and you're good.
Really, is sort of what they're going for.
Yeah. We don't know how many seasons they're going to be. It sounds like they're kind of expecting this to be like a 5 or a 6 year project, though, because my understanding is that season 1 is going to encapsulate the first year, and it's only 6 characters.
Sure. So if they're thinking 6 characters a year, like one every 2 months, maybe is sort of what we're going for.
On average, yeah.
Okay. That's reasonable. I mean, rolling out a lot of characters at once, I think would be a very poor idea because unless like they've been testing everything simultaneously, but I think getting a chance to get acclimated to like the current version and then boom, patch, here's a new character, and we know it's solid and works with this whole scheme.
Yeah.
I like that. Because it's also constantly keeping like the player base on its toes and having to constantly adapt to like new scenarios. So like, hey, don't get too comfortable because like this might come out and adjust things. And I know people don't want that, but I think it keeps the scene exciting.
I do. Like, I don't care if I prefer games like the way Riot handles League of Legends. I don't prefer the game, but I prefer the way they handle it. Or I forget the name of the company that made it, but Monday Night Combat, they even like it was their slogan was like the rules have changed because they were doing balance patches every week.
Damn. Okay.
And so, like, yeah, you could have like you could either have a week where the patch that's really bad and like they mess things up, or it affects you like more than it affects other players, and that sucks. But I would rather have a game that is constantly being tweaked and fine-tuned until it reaches that perfect spot. Because we have that option now. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a great game. It's an all-time classic. It is fundamentally broken.
Mm-hmm.
And we played it for 10 years, so we adapted to its problems.
Mm-hmm.
But that shouldn't be the case in this decade. The game should adapt to its faults.
Yeah, and people I think should be constantly like I think there's a risk when you fall into like a state of extreme comfort because it doesn't challenge you anymore. You basically have like mastered a meta so heavily that it whittles itself into a fine point after a while. But I think constantly having to be like, hey, next month this combo might not work, like they might adjust this. There might not be an invincibility frame here, or this character might have, more knockback on this move and like it screws up everything. But I think that's exciting. And I like it. I like the idea of having to constantly be on your toes, because
learning new things.
Yeah, because you think of it as like not just, once you've established a meta between, you and your foe, like your opponent, suddenly something comes along that says, wow, now the whole condition has changed to where I can't just, face off against what he's doing. I have to face off against like a new personal challenge that could apply to anybody I'm going to be fighting.
Yeah.
I like that.
What I hope they don't do is going back to the League of Legends example. Like Riot has, I don't think it's documented necessarily, but it's well known that for the past several years, when they release a new character, they deliberately like don't pay attention to balance as much. They're generally a little bit better than most other characters, and the idea is that you play them when they come out, or you play against one and they do really well against you, and you say, "Wow, I need to get that character." So you buy that character, whether it's with in-game currency or if you're like, I can't keep losing, I gotta pick up this character, and you drop $5.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope they don't do that to Street Fighter because it's not a seasonal game necessarily. Like I think the Capcom Pro Tour is almost a 12-month thing. So, like if you do that, you run the risk of really skewing the way that your tournament footage and your tournament meta ends up looking. If you got a new character coming out every 2 months like clockwork.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Keep everything as balanced as possible for, the right purposes, so that way tournament scene doesn't get disrupted from like 1 month to the other so radically.
Yeah, just so it's not like follow the new character.
Sure. Yeah.
But the new character, if they're too strong, that happens. Nerf them. If they're not strong enough, that happens. Buff them.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, because the only way to really ultimately find out is to like the world is public beta, and I tell people this all the time because they're like, how do they release this piece of crap broken game? And it's like the moment you give 1 billion players access to something that they can do whatever they want with, they will find things you've never imagined because that is just how it's going to go.
Yeah,
like, you're never going to release a game, especially if it's at like a large scale. People find stuff in Smash Bros. Because like the testers can try 10,000 different things in their stages, but they're still trying to, they're contained to like what they can do. But the moment you release, the game to some kid who's going to press a button combination no one's ever thought of before, something's going to happen and it's going to have an adverse effect and it has to be addressed. And, some stupid, testers aren't going to go jump into like, this wall in Fallout 50 times backwards while shooting at the ground because like, there's other things they got to double check, and with the order that you can take quests in or the, the way that you can drop items onto the ground, you can't test for all of that. So
yeah.
The world is constantly a public beta test for the game's like release.
The other side of that is I had a friend in the Street Fighter V beta because pretty much everyone was, and he was saying like, "Oh, it sucks that you can't like turn off matchmaking because it's a netcode beta. I just want to practice."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, but you're getting to play a game in beta state before it comes out.
Yeah, and there's actually
like up until a few years ago, like you had to basically be employed by the company,
yeah,
or be like a top games journalist to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, a friend of mine did find a workaround for that, where you could actually play with no problem. I can't remember. He has actually to stage one-on-one events that would not be disrupted by online, period. And I think it was actually going into training and doing like a record a match kind of thing. So if like the computer's recording your matches, it will disable online fight requests. What you could do is you could set it to where like the life bar didn't regenerate, so you could actually still do like a full-on like battle.
Okay.
And so like there was still a feasible way to actually do like, hey, you know, it's only one match at a time kind of thing, but you can still actually actively play one against the other. And it was more cumbersome to, you know, change characters and all that stuff. But given the conditions, it was possible. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, you know, the fact that you get to play a game before release at all several times is fairly remarkable.
Yeah.
So that's
how tragic would it be if they did like 3 betas for any game, not just Street Fighter 5, but if they did like, we're gonna do like a series of 7 betas, and they do 3 of them, and then they're like, the game's not that good. We're pulling support. It's not gonna
cancel it. That was like, here's the new Zelda. Yeah. Yeah. People kept falling off this one cliff, so we're just not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah. It's broken.
Pull the plug. It's broken. People keep dying at this one spot. I like it. I still need to finish Undertale.
Have you been playing it?
No.
Oh.
I've not played since Christmas. I played 1 hour 2 months ago, and I loved it, and that was it. That was my experience with that game. I mean, that was also the time where like I was getting prepared for grand reopening and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still fairly busy, so my gaming schedule has still been extremely tight, like in terms of accessible time.
Yeah.
I figure like that's one that and today was my day off, but I spent like 6 hours doing a bunch of store related stuff. So I was like, I gotta, you know, like tomorrow I'm actually gonna try to like, you know, shut off my phone, you know, post on Facebook that I'm dead, and then just like literally, you know, just hang out and play games.
Facebook really does need like a do not disturb option that you can just sort of flag and then turn it off when you want to use it again.
Yeah.
Or even if they made it like, okay, the next time you open Facebook, like you have to log in again, and it will disable that.
Yeah, that would be kind of nice. Yeah, I gotta get away from all that for a little bit and, you know, shut off. Information overload, man. It's a real thing.
It is.
I picked up Life is Strange.
Okay.
$30, and a bunch of people were recommending it, and I was like, well, yeah, give it a try. I know nothing about it, and so I played and finished the first chapter last night. It's not very long, chapter-wise, which is kind of cool. How much do you know about it?
A little bit. I have the first chapter, but I haven't started playing it yet.
Okay, so it's kind of neat. This is also a game that makes me feel very out of touch with today's youth, because like it's a game where you're walking around and using your cell phones and texting, and they're using all these terms. I'm like, what does that mean? To Urban Dictionary, you know, get my walker and get into the other room, get in the computer. And it's interesting. There's elements of the presentation I'm not really very into. It feels very much like a Telltale game.
Yeah.
But I like it overall, and it's got some cool, neat mechanics, and the story's getting more interesting. But like the first hour was kind of like, it's like I'm watching an independent film, you know, because it's got like, you know, that very guitar-y kind of like whatever vibe, and when you highlight things, they look like they're outlined in chalk, and it's like stuff is popping up, and it just, you know, kids using all this terminology, and like, you know, I love my camera, and it's just like, I might be too old for this.
Yeah.
But as I'm playing through and getting more involved, I'm like, you know what, it's actually getting more interesting, and the scenarios are actually picking up, and like the gimmick of the game is actually really cool. I won't tell anything, but it's getting better. So, you know, I feel that if the first episode is not like your cup of tea, play it all the way through and decide, because it's genuinely more interesting now that I've completed round 1, essentially. But yeah, it feels too indie film to me, and that kind of bothers me, but you know, I'll get over that.
I can see that from what I've seen on it. I do like that you can just like throw footballs at people's heads.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of cool. And this chick just goes, oh, just gets hit in the back of the head, and that was nice. But like, yeah, like they're playing the music, and like there's this one girl who's like a rocker chick, and she's like, man, I'm gonna put on some, you know, some heavy stuff, right? And then she puts on heavy music, and it's like, plain white tees, and I was like, nah, this is not my era any longer. This is definitely, I'm too old. This is the old man that Weezer warned me about or whatever. So, but now it's really cool. It's interesting though, just actually to like witness a generation gap in game presentation, because I've never really had that. Everything has sort of been like, oh, it's a war game, it's an action game, it's a shooter, there's a guy with a bionic arm, there's a witch that shoots bullets. Like, nothing felt out of the realm of game. And then suddenly I'm being presented, which is like, the audience for this game is like 21-year-olds, and that's the audience. It is very weird.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's cool. What about you? What are you playing?
I too have been very busy this week, so I haven't had a lot of time for games. But Rocket League Season 2 opened today.
All right.
So I've been playing with that a little bit. I haven't messed with the new maps yet, which is a really cool thing that they're doing. But they're basically letting people beta test crazy maps and kind of outline the things that are good and things that are bad about them. And then if they work, they're going to add them to competitive rotation later on.
That's very cool.
Yeah. That's the main new big feature. They redid the ranking system and they added some more accessories, but it's the same game otherwise.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's nice for Season 2 to actually have a reset and feel.
Yeah. And then a reset in ranks too is really cool, because it's like, all right, Season 1's over. Depending on what rank you got, you get a special item. I didn't get out of bronze, so I've got a little bronze crown. But if you were titanium, everyone can know that. You can broadcast that.
That's cool.
But now it's Season 2. What are you going to do this year?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to start fresh with everybody.
Yeah, I like the idea of a bracket reset.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to check that out again at some point too.
I played that a lot last night because I was having an anxiety attack, and I was like, I can't do anything, I can't function. I'm just gonna play Rocket League for 3 hours.
That's fair. Sometimes you got to.
But I want to get into some games that have just been sitting around collecting dust. I want to play. I kind of am getting the itch to go through a GTA because I've yet to finish one. I've never finished a Grand Theft Auto game.
Do 5.
I don't have 5. I have almost all of them except 5.
I'll share my account with you. I have it
on what? On Steam?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I want to see what you think. I mean, try it for a little bit, because I was floored.
I did play it a little bit at your house, and it is a lot cleaner. It feels less like a Rockstar game, and I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, I've only ever finished one Rockstar game, and that was Bully, because that was kind of the least Rockstar game they ever did.
Yeah, that's true. Besides ping pong or whatever.
Yeah.
Table tennis. Yeah.
Such a weird release for them.
I know. I love that
they're known for Manhunt and Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
The 360 is out, new technology. Here's table tennis.
It felt to me one of those really weird sort of pretentious moves where it's dude, you're too complicated, man. You just gotta, you know what people like? It's simple. You hang out in your parents' basement, during the summer of the 70s, and you play table tennis. And they're people are going to love this. And then you play it, and you're kind of yeah, it's fine, but I'm not going to play this more than 10 minutes ever.
I did hear people say good things about it. I've never played it.
But it's also one of those things where we get a lot of people that come and they go, oh, I remember Duck Hunt. I love Duck Hunt. I want to buy Duck Hunt. Buy an NES, buy Duck Hunt, buy the gun. They do. They go home and play, and they're that was cool. And that's the end of their crusade for nostalgia, because the game, it's not bad, but it
has no substance.
It's so concise, the experience, that as soon as you shot 3 ducks, that's what you're going to be doing for eternity in that game. So, yeah. Table tennis.
Yeah, maybe I should play table tennis.
You know what?
You know what I pulled out the other day to show to a friend of mine because he had never seen it, and I'm really tempted to just go through this and just burn through it. Is the Sonic? I've gotten all the achievements.
Yeah, that's a good selection of games.
But just to play through Phantasy Star 2 through 4 and all the Golden Axes and all the Streets of Rages, is a really tempting prospect to me right now.
Yeah, that's fair. They're really
just
good.
Zone out and play a bunch of classic. Because again, I can do the Sonic games. Well, I can do Sonic 1 and 2, no problem. I can get through 3. I can get through Sonic and Knuckles, but it takes me a little bit more work.
Sure.
but I have played infinitely more Nintendo games than Sega games. So a lot of it is still sort of like challenging or fresh to me. Like to this day, I've never finished like Ristar or
Same.
like good games that I know are quality. I just haven't gone through them.
I've the exact same. Absolutely.
So something like that could be really fun.
Speaking of Sega, did you see that like they're teasing a bunch of stuff for the 25th anniversary, or is it 30th? I can't remember.
Of Sonic, right?
25th anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple things, but nothing like specific.
I saw some sort of like tweet today that had 20th anniversary and some sort of like logo thing, and on the inside of the letters, it looked extremely like Sonic Generations. And I'm hoping that like if they're like, dude, Generations 2 is actually happening, I'm so beyond in, so excited.
Yeah,
that man was so good. Did not stop playing that game.
And I'm okay with if they didn't innovate, like if they added a couple new things, like here's a Knuckles Chaotix level, and here's like a Sonic Drift level, and like just really kind of got crazy with a couple of them.
More abstract, yeah.
But if it was just like, okay, we did Green Hill, what if we did Spring Yard Zone?
Yeah,
we did God, I can't think of it now. What did they do for Sonic 2?
It's Chemical Plant. If they did
Chemical Plant. Yeah, they did Mystic Caves or Oil Ocean.
God, yeah,
that's all I want. I just want a level pack for Sonic Generations.
Yeah, I remember discussing, maybe even with you, that if they released like a sequel like pack that was maybe $30, I would have bought it without thinking. That was just another level from Sonic 1, then another level from Sonic 2, then another from Sonic 3, just different, a 2D and a 3D that were represented the same way all the normal Generations levels were, without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
By that, no hesitation.
Yeah.
But apparently there's also like these really weird clues that kept like adding up to like, hey, here's, add the digits, fight the demon, like a bunch of like really weird cryptic things. And then these people are trying to put stuff together. Maybe it was just hopeful thinking or like, just adding stuff that didn't make sense. But something came up, and it was like, add the digits. And they came up with like 41 or like 40 or something like that. I don't remember what was the band, Crush 40?
Yeah.
And like it had something that sort of alluded to like, oh, wait a second, like, are you hinting at like a Sonic Adventure 3? And it was really, I don't know, but it seems like they're having a really fun time teasing people with just a bunch of like obscure clues, and I like that.
I'm okay with almost anything. Like, granted, they're allowed to do what they want. I think people are kind of too hard on most Sonic games after, depending on how old you are, Sonic Adventure or Sonic 06 or Sonic Heroes. Like there's not a lot of really high points for the series lately. I understand that. But Sonic Advance is good. Sonic Brotherhood minus the music was pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Like there's still Sonic games are still fun to me. They just tend to feel not right. Like Sonic 4 doesn't feel right. But Sonic Advance doesn't feel right to me either.
Yeah, but it feels okay in its own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you really just want Sonic Crackers 2.
Yeah, I want Sonic Eraser and Sonic Crackers Gems Collection HD 2.
Yeah, Labyrinth, Ultimate Cut or whatever.
But they can do, like, if they want to make a whole new Sonic game, okay. Yeah. Like, caveat emptor, no one liked Rise of Lyric. Like, careful what you do. Right. If they wanted to do Sonic Generations 2, I am totally okay with that. If they want to do Sonic Adventure 3, I know a lot of people who would be super pumped, and I would definitely give it a shot, especially if it plays like Sonic Generations 3D levels. Like, yes, you've got my interest.
A heartbeat.
If they want to do Sonic 5, okay, good luck. Mm-hmm. I will be interested to see how it turns out. I hope it comes out well.
For sure.
If they just did this, but with all the Sonic games, all of them, I'm in.
Easy. Yeah, fit every one of those in a Blu-ray without even thinking.
Yeah, Sonic R, like put them all in there, like go crazy.
What was the Sonic collection? Even what's it called? Sonic Super Sonic Hedgehog or whatever the arcade game was.
Oh yeah.
Everything. Put the betas, put the Sonic Crackers beta in there. Put Knuckles Chaotix in there. Literally, like an anniversary. Do the same thing that they did with the Game Gear releases on Sonic Adventure DX, where you could open up multiple Game Gear screens and do like a 2-player head-to-head or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I agree. I would buy it without hesitation.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. all the Game Gear, Master System, like I mean everything.
Because if they could do that, or they could go, they could, if they wanted to get fancy with it, do that, but include online leaderboards. So the time attack part of Sonic Generations. Now imagine doing that with people who've been playing Marble Zone Act 2 since 1991,
right?
And like measure yourself to that.
Yeah, I would love it. I would love it, man. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. There's something about quantifying like your own progress. The reason I like NES Remix is because it really is like an exam of, hey, you played a lot of Mario as a kid, but like, go, you know, like,
yeah,
you have to like, you know, speed run this that you're so good at, you know, but can somebody else do it faster? Find out.
And it's designed well enough for the other side too. Like I brought it out last week for when people came over for game night, and I have a friend who has never played like a lot of Nintendo games. Like maybe he's played Mario 3 and like a Zelda and maybe a Mega Man, but he hasn't really played a lot of NES games. So I was like, here, you know, you try. And he's like, oh, I don't know how to play Kid Icarus. It's like, that's cool. If you do the challenges, it'll teach you how to play Kid Icarus.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, it's set up extremely well as sort of like a primer, as well as like, you know, here's the information you need. Here's the exam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's cool that it prompts you as well too. It's like, oh, you don't know where every hidden one-up is in Mario 1? Well, you're probably going to learn a couple things then, because the game will prompt you. And
you're not going to get 3 stars. You're not going to get the rainbow, but we're not going to just like make you jump around on a screen for 3 minutes.
Yeah, subsequent playthroughs mean like, oh, now I know this. And then when you go back to play Mario 1, you're like, dude, I've got more knowledge from a game that's 30 years old now.
Yeah.
That's super neat.
Yeah, I have yet to 100% it still, but I got damn close in like 4 days because I was just absorbed in it.
It's very easy to do. I think I have stars on everything, but I haven't gold starred everything at all. Or not gold starred, rainbow star.
Yeah, that's where I am right now.
There's some
you do get an extra challenge on Remix 2 when you gold or rainbow everything, but
okay. I'm excited. I'll have to work on that.
Challenge.
Shalom.
All you get really is it's another thing where this have you watch the endings to Mario 2, Mario 3, and a third game that was like a weird choice. Like it wasn't like Kirby or Zelda 2. It was like, oh, here's the ending to NES Open Tournament Golf.
Yes, Wario's Woods credits.
Yep.
Yay.
Oh, it was Dr. Mario. That's right. It was Mario 2, Dr. Mario, and Mario 3.
Weird. Freaking, I like Dr. Mario. I'm not great at it, but I like it.
I remember actually seeing the ending to Dr. Mario on my own, like in 1992 or 93, and I was so proud of myself because you play games like that, and even then, you don't expect there to be like, okay, I've played Tetris, like I made the rocket go off. There's no ending.
Yeah.
But then Dr. Mario had an ending, and I just remember like trying just as like a personal challenge, like, oh, I'm gonna beat high on 20, and like really just I'm just gonna do it until it happens, and I'll say I can do it.
I feel like saying I beat Tetris, I made the rocket go off is a very Russian term for masturbation. That's what Pajitnov says, like when his wife is like, what are you doing in there?
I get eye block, make 4 lines, go away.
Yeah, no, that's impressive too. I don't think I ever beat any of those puzzles. I beat Tetris, yeah, because you know, it made the rocket go off.
Definitely beat Wario's Woods.
No, not me.
I genuinely enjoy how much you dislike Wario's Woods. Like,
yeah, that is my. I hate that I dislike a Wario game, and I know it's not like a Wario game proper, but
yeah, it's got Wario and Birdo in it.
I know. Everything about that should make me love it on principle, because it's like if there was a puzzle game that starred like Alpha and Bayonetta.
Yeah,
it'd be my favorite thing ever. But if it played like Wario's Woods, I would just piss and shit off the disc every single day.
It is a game with Wario and Birdo in it and faux Joey Lawrence sound bites.
Right. And the devil, right? Isn't like the devil in there?
In the NES one, there's a devil. Not in the Super Nintendo one.
Well, why did they take the devil out?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Is there a different?
And I struggle with the Nintendo one. Like I have a hard time with that game because I grew up playing the Super Nintendo one. And it makes use of pretty much all of the buttons, and so to cut down that control scheme into 2 buttons, I'm just like, I can't do it.
I got you. That's fair. That's fair.
But I could play Wario's Woods right now. I feel about Wario's Woods the way Dustin feels about Mean Bean Machine.
And I like it because I don't understand it and I respect it. I think
Yeah.
it's awesome that somebody could look at that game and be like, I want to play that. Whereas I look at it and go, that's the last thing that I want to do. Out of all the games in this house, that is like so towards the bottom of my pile.
You know what would be fun is if we just like went back and forth and streamed somehow like games that we both know, but that only one of us likes.
I think that's fair. I think that would be interesting to do.
Like Warriors would definitely be on my list. Aerobiz would be on my list. I love playing Aerobiz.
I don't think I've had enough exposure to it.
It's the most boring airline management simulator, but man, I love that game.
I love when a game can do that. Yeah. I know I have sort of simulation game out there that like I eat it up, you know? Like there's something that there's no reason I should like it or anybody
Sim
should.
Ant? Like I know we both like Sim Ant.
I do like Sim Ant. I played it a lot on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big Sim Ant fan.
Sim Ant is fun. Yeah, I feel like there's Picross. I mean, like I think that's got a pretty generally good population of people who enjoy it. But like to somebody who doesn't know Picross, it might not be appealing.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's one of those things like I try to explain it to people and it's just like, oh, you know, like you have to add this number right here and then find out how many spaces are on this number, and if you don't, there's no number right there, that means you have like X amount of room between these two numbers, and they're just like, that sounds awful.
Yeah, I love the sort of resurgence that it's gotten recently because like when I started dating Erin, she was like, "Oh, you have Picross." I was like, "Yeah, I love Picross." She's like, "Oh, me too." Like I love the Picross DS and the 3D one. I'm like, I haven't played the 3D one. Talk to me about the 3D one.
Yeah,
and we geeked out about it. And like now with Pokemon Picross, I've got people coming up like, "Oh, I've been playing a lot of that on my DS," and I'm like, "That's so cool," because my exposure to it, I played like the ROM, and I enjoyed it. So I went to Funko Land to buy it. And the clerk was like, you know what this is, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I don't think you should buy it. And I was like, no, this is the game I want.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel good that it's sort of like come around into the public consciousness a little bit more and people have tried it and enjoy it.
They have like yearly download releases, you know, E3, E4, E5, E6, pick Pokemon, 3D, like, you know, several different versions. I bought one in Japan that was Picross, except for it was colored. And so, like, you would have, like, a red one, and then a green 2, and then, like, a blue 1. And so you'd have to put, like, a red dot right there with a space, and then 2 greens with a space, and then, like, a blue 1 at the very end, and it would make a full color picture. We actually had, like, an ink palette at the bottom that you had to use to, like, put the proper colors in there so the picture made sense. And it was when I imported. I actually found it when I was out in Japan at some point, and I loved it. Absolutely terrific. But, yeah, it's nice to see that Picross has gotten, you know, because the only version I knew for so long was Mario's Picross for the Game Boy. And then after that, I think the Super Nintendo one came out and I imported it because I was so excited because, you know, like.
Yeah, it's weird, but you can use the mouse now.
There was, I remember finding in Japan as well, in a bookstore, they had a Picross book. And it was Picross puzzles that were just printed out onto like 300 pages. It was just like, oh my God, I can sit here and manually Picross. So I just said, you know, and then they started releasing them again, trickle by trickle. And then suddenly everybody's like, oh, Picross is fun. And then, yeah, with Pokemon, that's, I think, the best sort of vehicle to carry. Like, hey, do you want to try something you're not familiar with? Pikachu. You know?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. So if they had like Pokemon Quicken, like I think it would get a lot more kids into accounting. So.
How many deductibles does your Kangaskhan have?
Exactly. Yeah.
2.
2. Yeah, 2 deductibles. He's got him and his child. Or Kirby. Kirby's always been a very good experimental vehicle for Nintendo to try different like game types.
Yeah.
Safely. But I think Pokemon is sort of easier for that now because it's the Pokemon company's insane and they'll release a billion things and all of them will sell.
Yep.
I have it.
So what do you think are some games that you like that I wouldn't or don't, that you either know I wouldn't or that you think are like a kind of unpopular choices?
I'm trying to think of like a genuinely like.
I can tell you one right off the bat.
What's that?
Oddworld.
You don't like Oddworld?
Oddworld, the limited experience I have with it frustrates me so much.
Okay, so and I assume you haven't tried New and Tasty.
I have the first 4 games. I've only tried Odyssey and Exodus so far.
Okay, so you've really played just Abe's.
Yeah, I haven't played Munches and I haven't played Strangers. And I haven't played New and Tasty.
I would like you to try Munch at some point as well, and not Munch. Munch is fine. It's just like a 3D sort of game. There's not much to it, but I enjoy it. I wouldn't say it's remarkable, but I don't dislike it at all. Stranger, I think, is a genuinely excellent game. But it also has like more, like sort of conventional mechanics in terms of like, fighting things and moving around and like gameplay. But I would like you to, next time you're up here in town, I want you to sit down and I want to see you play like New and Tasty, because it streamlines the way the game plays a lot more by not having segmented screens. That, I think, for that game makes a world of difference. It controls fundamentally the same, which might not be your cup of tea, and that's fine. But I do feel that like they really made the game feel and play a lot better. So it's obviously the definitive version, but so you dislike those games. What did you dislike?
The controls are frustrating to me, but not in the sort of like I can play Out of This World and Flashback and Prince of Persia.
Okay,
like that I don't have a problem with. It's remembering like 8 voice commands that to me have very little like natural sort of like, oh, of course that would be L2.
That's fair.
And so I mess it up and I'll end up like growling at something that I'm trying to like say hi to, and everything just goes to shit immediately.
I think that's fair. I feel like they streamlined something about that in the new one to where it was a lot less awful. And I think they mapped it to like a high pitched noise was triangle, a medium pitched noise was like square, and then a low pitched noise was X. So like there was some sort of like, musical connotation in terms of like pitch. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel in the remake it was a lot less awful though, but I can't remember, to be totally honest. Maybe just get used to it. But that's fair.
Yeah,
that's really fair.
So that combined with the kind of like so much can go permanently wrong kind of gameplay. Like there's a lot of save reloading when I'm playing Oddworld. A lot of save reloading.
What's nice is also like they broke it up into segments, so you could actually reload a previously done area. You could play all the way through the game, do as much as you could, and then replay through an area to get the stuff you missed. So it makes replaying actually not as awful. It's easier to quantify because it says, this area 2 had like, 55 Mudokons. And so when you reload it, you only have to get like those 55, and then you can move on to like another chapter that you might have missed some in. You can quantify it per section, which is a nice feature. I'm trying to think of another game that I like an NES game maybe. Jaws. I mean, I'm not really in love with Jaws or anything, but I play the game a lot.
Yeah. I would definitely need to be sold on Jaws.
Yeah. Goonies 2. You like Goonies 2, though.
I do like Goonies 2. I think it's, again, one of those games that I have a hard time. Someone asked me about it recently. They're like, hey, is Goonies 2 good? And I was like,
yeah.
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 You're not going to have fun, but if you do, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Very special interest. Mario Sunshine, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that I'm like totally like crazy into, and I'm sure we've talked about something that you just totally weren't sold on, but I can't think offhand. There's a lot of variables.
Yeah. Rhythm Heaven is a game that I enjoy, but I'm not like
gaga about it. But you like it at least.
Yeah, I do.
I'm trying to think of something that you actively dislike. It's probably easier if you list off games that you hate, and I go, oh, I love that one.
Yeah. Oof. Dream TV.
Like Dream TV World Fighters?
No, like the Super Nintendo game Dream TV.
Oh, I got nothing good to say about that either. Yeah.
Trying to like spread it out and like think of like what's a Genesis game I don't like. What's an
N64 you know what? Game I really like Skyrim.
Yeah, and I really don't.
It's not your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like Minecraft is another game that I
like it, but I'm not gaga about it. But yeah, that's not your kind of thing. Skyrim is probably like the biggest one that I put a ton of time and enjoyment into, and I know that you're not into that.
Erin's replaying it right now. She replays it like twice a year.
That's a big investment.
Yeah. And I'm always just like, there's so many. Like, she finished last time she finished. I was like, so what about Dishonored? Like, because she always plays a very stealthy character. Okay. And I was like, Dishonored's made by Bethesda, and it's all about stealth. And she started to play it, but then she just lost interest again really quickly. And it's always interesting to me. Like, I also asked her, like, oh, would you be interested? Like, what if we got you an Elder Scrolls Online subscription? since you liked Oblivion and you like Skyrim. She's like, no, I don't want a game with other people in it, and I don't want to like. She had a couple other. She doesn't like games that are always on, and so I was like, okay. So it's always just kind of interesting when someone latches on to like one specific game.
You just get comfortable with it.
Yeah,
that's fair. Been there,
but not bored. Like that's what's really cool is that she enjoys playing it.
Yeah,
it's not like I've got nothing else to do, so I'll play Skyrim. She's like, oh, I could totally play Skyrim right now. I'll start a new file on Skyrim.
Right.
So.
Okay. Skyrim. That's the one I would play through once and be like, cool, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like there's a hefty RPGs that are like a single time kind of like, that's my experience and I'm fine with that.
Yep.
But even though it has like a bunch of different variables in terms of class and, race and gender and stuff, only of course a couple of those make a difference, but I feel that I don't feel that I'm missing out on anything by not playing through as like a knight or, a wizard or whatever. I did my stealth playthrough and that was my character and that was my journey and like that's enough for me. Did you ever just punch Aaron in the head?
Not yet.
Coming soon to a theater.
Yeah, there's a lot of time to do that. So
that's fair. Yeah, you got a while before you don't have to punch her in the head. So punching her in the head comes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, fair enough. So okay, I think it's time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Been a good solid couple hours of conversation. Can't complain.
I can't complain because of a court order.
Because of Wario's Woods. Wario.
Yeah. Because my life is so much better for having Wario's Woods in it that I'm just incapable of complaining.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just your body won't even allow it because you're like, well, Wario's Woods.
Yeah.
What if Wario ordered a court martial to go to your house and like make sure that like if you complained, like he shot you to death?
Yeah, he would steal my coins.
Yeah. Feed them to Birdo.
You know what the worst part about Wario's Woods is? Even though we're wrapping it up.
Turning it on, playing it. Yeah.
I'm the only person I know that like can play it, like that understands the rules of the game.
Okay.
Like it's not even like they're bad at puzzle games or they're not interested. Like it's so dense. It doesn't make sense. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna learn how to play this game, and I did. So I can't like play against other people.
Yeah, it's very exclusive.
I can teach people how to play, and then we'll get bored in 5 minutes. And I'm like, cool. All right, good talk.
Get bored. I feel bored when I play it. I do. I play it and I go, I want to do anything else. Yeah, I want to go lay down in my foyer in cat poop. Yeah, that's funny. It's funny for me to like dislike a Nintendo game thoroughly.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple actually that I'm totally just not into.
Urban Champion.
Yeah, I don't like that game.
I'm really not a Tin Star fan. I think it's got like some neat ideas, but I don't think it's fun.
No, I'm not. I like to advocate for it because I think it's funny. Because it's a very interesting time in Nintendo's career for them to release like 90% like the greatest games of all time, and then they're like this.
Right, like this is the era where like I think within like 2 calendar years we had the first 2 Donkey Kong Countries, Uniracers, Super Punch-Out, Super Metroid, Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, it was literally nothing but like
Mario RPG,
Earthbound, like it was everything. Yeah, because that's when like the little symbol in the corner was like only on Nintendo.
Yeah.
And when you saw that in a box, you were like, dude,
I'm in.
Fuck
Give me that.
Like I am the king of my world. And then Tin Star, you're like, the logo's there. What does this mean? And then I remember renting it, and it was like, I
like the thing that I like most about the game is the thing I like least about it, which is the money system. Like, you have the fact that you can save your game, but that it costs money is so cool. But also, like, the game is hard and I'm not good at it, so I want to save all the time. Yeah. And you lose money for causing property damage. Like, if you shoot, unlike every other shooter for the system or in general, like shooting tables in the saloon, you lose money for that.
Yeah.
And then you can't save.
Yeah, you can't save because you shot some dude's card game up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome, but yeah, it's a really interesting design choice. I like it though. It would conflict with my play style.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching, because we actually had a couple consistent viewers, I think, all the way through the evening, and that was kind of neat.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. That's very nice of you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I hope you spend your time either loving who you are and enjoying the company of you as a wonderful person, or sharing it with somebody, and both are fantastic.
Yep.
You know, so I'll be spending my Valentine's Day at the store, doing my thing with my employees, going home, and enjoying what I've got. And I'm okay with that.
And we're celebrating Valentine's Day a day early, and then having a big family dinner for some of our single friends who'd have nothing to do for Valentine's Day.
Oh, see, and that's awesome. I think it's really nice to sort of celebrate like with people who might not have that opportunity. And I know for some people it's like really a big deal, and for some it's not. In either way, right on. But getting the chance to, like, you know, go out and hang out with people who would allow that, I think, is really super cool.
It's a day about, to me, it's a day about love, not a day about romance.
That's fair.
So do what you love, spend time with people you love, tell people that you love them, and
that's good.
If you don't have anyone to tell that to, then tell it to yourself, because you're a winner.
Yeah, because you know you're number one.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, check out screwthetruth.com for previous podcasts. Also, make sure to check out AMcast from our friends Morgan and Adrian, who do their own fantastic podcast, and it's super great, super funny, wonderful variety of subjects. Also, be sure to check out garetro.com and the Gamers Anonymous Facebook page, as well as our GA Retro community page on Facebook, where you can see the latest hot deals, check out like new inventory, ask questions, share links, you know, communicate with all of us at the shop, and really have a good time.
All those things are possible and more.
It's true. For only $19.95 a month.
Yep. Plus shipping and handling, no CODs.
Yeah, we had to ship coupons to you for $20.
They're printed on like plastic bricks.
Yeah, exactly. Just a cinder block with like a message written in blood. You know, it's 15% off any Super Nintendo game.
Yeah.
I bet if you did that, somebody would buy it, because, you know, people like weird novelty.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come to the store and then like I cut up with my palm and stamp it, and then boom, you can take it home, but it's been redeemed. You can't use it again.
You could make like cookies and like burn in like different discount percentages. And like you can eat the cookie, or this is good for a discount.
Yeah. Make a really, really tasty cookie, and it's like, what's the choice? But then if you get the discount, like we eat the cookie in front of you.
Right. You like, oh, that's the thank you, and you just eat it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Anything else that you have?
I just want to say I love you. I just called to say I love you. That's what it is.
I just called to say I love you. Yeah, that's sweet. Okay. Well, cool. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time
on the Cyber Zone.